Previously in X-Men, Rogue has single-handedly attacked the Avengers, the X-Men, the Pentagon, and essentially destroyed Carol Danvers' superhero career as Ms. Marvel. In the aftermath of her violent and hateful actions, Rogue eventually sought out Professor X and the X-Men for aid as her mutant abilities became too difficult to manage. And as an outcast among outcasts, she slowly earned the trust of some of the bravest and most honorable mutants to ever call themselves X-Men. Now, a militant arm of the U.S. government is hunting Rogue, as they believe she possesses a grave threat, or she poses a grave threat. I'm struggling today. And they have the means to destroy her forever. I am Jason Lapidus.
I am Chris Sanagan.
And we are Group of 7 Comics. Welcome to episode 105 of our ongoing Tuesday night live stream read-through of the X-Men comics that became classic, as we read Uncanny X-Men 105 by writer Chris Claremont, artists John Romita Jr. and Dan Green. Cover date of September 1984. Firstly, I should have pointed down, not over, because you are positioned there at the moment. How are you, Chris?
I'm good. I'm very good. We're gonna go on a trip soon, so the days are counting down, and I cannot wait to hop on a plane and get to the Angoulême Festival in France to show our comics off to a whole new audience. Not just public. Like, we are part of a trade mission. So this is going to be, the publishers, editors, translators, rights markets, licensing, a whole bunch of things that I don't know if we ever really. I'm sure at some point we thought we'd be having a conversation about, but to kind of physically be in that space while all these things are happening is pretty exciting. So I'm counting down the days.
I hear, man. We are going on a trip. Yeah, we're going to the International Festival of Comics in Angoulême, France, which is the third largest comics festival in the world, which is pretty wild. I don't think you and I ever expected to be in the position where we would be going to visit that particular festival, let alone on a trade mission with the government of Canada.
Right.
It is an interesting spot to be in. I was talking to another cartoonist friend of ours, and he was saying, like, he's really happy for us and kind of jealous. And I was like, yeah, man, I often feel a bit of, a little fear of missing out, like a little FOMO, a little jealousy when peers get to do things that I would love to do. And I think about it, like, a lot of people I know, even if they are like great cartoonists and they put together amazing work, they don't necessarily have the mindset to pursue this kind of a trade mission. I never would have thought. We often look at getting our books, getting to table at shows, at comic conventions, and maybe do in stores and library events. This is a whole other animal, and it is unlike anything. We were in the Google Meet this morning with the embassy in Paris, the Canadian embassy in Paris, and Heritage Canada. Like, that's not a comic book kind of thing to be doing.
No.
But it was a lot of fun. Continuing on that,
yeah,
I was talking to one of the other cartoonists that was in that meeting, who's also a publisher, and saying, hey, just letting them know your take and my take on what we had just experienced casually. And he responded, hey, yeah, like, this is going to be an incredible thing. I can't imagine someone going to Angoulême for the first time with all this around it, all this huge trade mission. At least we've all been there before just to go to the festival. I was like, no, dude, that's us. We have never been to the festival. We're in this huge storm of, I don't even know what to call it. It is an incredible opportunity, and unlike anything that our past experiences have prepared us for in comics, but maybe our professional lives outside of this are going to lend themselves appropriately.
It's so funny. We were in this meeting, And yeah, so we're talking with the Canadian Embassy in Paris, which is again kind of just ridiculous. I mean, it's a meeting, but it's still kind of because you can see as they have their computer up, like you can see that they're in a Parisian building. Like you can see the windows,
Yes.
and then you go onto the streets of Paris. Like you're like, okay, so that's a bit different. And then we're talking with, and again, this is just, I mean, we're just sharing because we can share, and really no real expectations beyond just absorbing it, putting our best foot forward, and letting the world do what it needs to do. But we're at one of the representatives from Angoulême is talking about the rights market, because there is a space there to shop your licensing rights, your audiovisual rights, all these things to publishers from around thousands of delegates. The word was used, thousands of delegates coming to buy content, shop content, license content. And they're like, yeah, like there's this like throwaway example they give where it's like, yeah, you wanted to, yes, maybe you're interested in talking to people from Netflix or Amazon Prime. We can help you out with that. It's like, sorry, what? Sorry, what was that? And again, we're here for all of it. Right? We're here for,
right.
We're not expecting that to happen necessarily, but that is the space that we're talking about. Those are the conversations that are happening, if not to us, certainly around. So
right.
We got off the phone and just kind of, whoa, okay. So,
yeah, we're not going to Comic-Con. It's not the same kind of thing.
And I think we both had a different idea of the show when it was pitched to us, and that's fine. But it's something. It's a different animal. It has elements of some of those Comic-Con things we're super used to, but it also has these new avenues, which as independent publishers, we're keen to explore, because it really is like leveling up that part of the operation of the project.
Yes. Yeah. Agreed. Yeah. Yeah, that's not really a lot of X-Men talk right there, but it is definitely on our mind right now. It's hard to get past it, considering you and I don't spend a lot of time during every day talking about these things together. This is like one of those moments we get some FaceTime, so
I know
we're both kind of excited.
Yeah.
Chuck, hey Chuck, how are you? Happy New Year.
Chuck
says, how did you guys even get started on this, on going to Angoulême? There's an organization in Canada called Livre Canada Books. So that's the French word for books, and then the word Canada and the English word for books, because we are, of course, a bilingual country. So Livre Canada Books, that organization reached out to us. And Chris, you and I are still not sure how they even learned about us.
We're going to find out.
We're going to find out.
After a few drinks, and be like, how did you hear about us?
Yes, we're going to find out. I do not want to look a gift horse in the mouth.
I don't know.
I'm just
and if they say, well, I'm a big X-Men fan, we go, oh!
Yeah, and it's nice. We're only bringing 2 books over, and so we got the Group of 7 Most Secret Tale, the edition we just put out in September, I believe, or something like that, and then this Angoulême special, which contains 5 issues of Peregrine's comics. So I'm really excited to just have these 2 books on hand. We're not even going to be really tabling too much. I think there will be a store in the Canadian pavilion of the event, and they are going to be serving as the retail arm for all of the Canadian delegates that are bringing their comics. But I think we have a couple signings set up. I know I'm doing some drawing as well, so I'm happy to get out there and get these books into the hands of those international comic fans.
You're going to be live drawing in France.
Don't even get me started.
I'm on a panel about comics, and
maybe
it's just funny to like throw those 2 words in France, because it's just
it is not what I expected coming into this academic year, but super grateful for the opportunity to say cheers to you once we're over in France, as we romantically meet on a train station in Paris.
Well, I'd say less romance, more spy story. More like
good.
More Jason Bourne. More Jason.
I'm going to bring a dossier.
Yeah, exactly.
As opposed to roses. Okay, good. I'm glad you provided me with an alternative possibility.
You only went romance. You're like, it's got to be romance.
How's it going, romance? Like, totally. This is a spy thriller, right? It's espionage. Yeah, that's really good. X-Men.
Excellent.
Quick note about the cover. We got another cool, like, John Romita Jr. cover.
Yeah.
I can't wait to get rid of this version of Rogue's costume. I hate the orange
Oh.
the sweater. I mean, I'm not exactly sure what it is, but if you look at the version I have in hand, it's way more purple than it is blue. And the version that was digital is very much blue. So I like it better with the purple. It's a little more nighttime. Looks neat, but it's a good cover.
I like it where it's it's very Romita Jr.
Yeah.
But the shapes are starting to really, like, if like, for me, coming to understand his style later, this feels very natural, like a Romita Jr. cover.
Yeah.
So I like that, because then you're seeing the brand, like that come through, the style come out, right?
Yes. Let's also just quickly say hello. Now, Jason, how are you? Nice to see you. I need to know how to pronounce your last name. If it's Jason Jose, Jason Jose, like, because there's so many variations on how families pronounce, last names. So let me know phonetically how to do that, because I want to say hey to you every time. And of course, we got to say hi to Massimo. How are you? I saw some posts on Instagram from you today for some commissions. I'm hoping you get lots, whether they are digital or traditional. But shouts to you. Keep making more comics. So that's awesome. Mass, hope you're doing well. This X-Men Classic cover is by Paul Smith, of course. The last one was as well. And you can see some good Paul Smith isms in it. But let's just note again that his Rogue is a more androgynous Rogue. And I mention this because of what we're going to see in the issue. But I think it's neat to hit the idea of, like, the reflection in the gun, showing Henry Peter Gyrich. I think it's a good idea. But I think the color of the gun looks matte. Like, it doesn't look like a reflective gun. It looks like a matte gunmetal without a clear reflection. So I'm curious about that. And I like how the gun's pointed to her head. Like, that's really good. The green, what's that thing called on a desk? Like a mat that you lay down?
Yeah, I know. It's almost like cutting.
This is the wrong color green. Like, it should be the darker green. And then that purple in the background, also get that back. Like, it's jumping out, and it's competing with where our focus should be. So I think Paul Smith is doing an okay job, like a good job with, like, the concept and his execution. Colors are just not helping, right? They're competing. You have background things in high saturation as opposed to directing us so clearly at the focus of it, Anyway. Yeah, Green Arrow cosplay. I hear you. That's fun. There you go. So, Jose, there you go. The Spanish pronunciation. Thank you. I appreciate that. I've been avoiding saying your last name this whole time because I wasn't sure how to pronounce it. And I don't want to offend. So I'm glad you just told me up front. That's good. Yeah, here we go. So, Chris, you had never read this one before?
Not until the other day. Yep. First time reading it the other day. So
I got my hands on this just last week.
Oh,
I was at an awesome comic book store in South Florida called Tate's. And I say awesome, maybe you have a different experience if someone else has been there, but in terms of the selection of the content of the store, it was like anything I was looking for, they were kind of going to have. So it was really neat going in there and being able to pick up a few books for you, pick up a few books for me. And, I'm all into that. And that store it's so much fun. I could have spent $1,000 just on Star Wars.
I bet.
$2,000 on vintage Kenner stuff. So, it's crazy. It's crazy. Toy Rensu, what's up, geeks? Yeah, I feel bad now. Last time you were a couple times ago, Toy Rensu, you called us nerds, and I got defensive. So whatever, as long as you're here, that's all that matters, and you're in a good mood. Call me whatever you want. It's all good, man. All right, let's get into this one.
Get into this.
I'm going to stop sharing that screen and start sharing the next one.
All right.
Boom. See, this is a little more purple.
It is.
Because this is a scan of the printed comic, whereas the other one was a digital one pulled off of, the interweb. Anyway.
All right.
Cool.
Cool. So
Are
yeah,
you a Last Starfighter kid, Chris?
I am a Last Starfighter kid for sure.
That's pretty special.
For sure, and it has the the setup where he beats the arcade game. That's the test.
Yeah.
Right. That's the And I always thought this was such like a strange. I don't know. It's so of that time.
It is, and it really means a lot to a lot of people. Like the property they've tried to reboot it and get it into the hands. Like a lot of production companies have tried to get it into production, but it's been incredibly difficult to secure the rights and move forward with it. I don't think it's even available.
Wow.
I know Kevin Smith and Mark Bernardin talk about it all the time, but I only saw it once. I think I saw it in theaters one summer.
Yeah.
And that's, I guess it would have been theaters, 1984. So I haven't seen it since. And I remember really enjoying it and just, of course, wanting toys. But
it does make me want, having seen this ad, it does make me want to watch it again.
Sure.
Just to right?
There should be a film festival of lasts.
Yeah, good call.
You know what I mean?
I don't see, but of the actors there, I don't see anyone names are popping out. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like the person who plays the alien is like a character actor that I'm aware of, unless you know.
No, none of those names mean anything.
Mean anything, right? Okay.
Lance Guest.
All right, so I'm just gonna go with my dog outside. I'll be back.
Yeah, you do that. I will start in on the comic book. Stan Lee presents Public Enemy. Can you imagine if Stan Lee presented a Public Enemy concert or album? If he was the MC and brought Public Enemy on stage, that would be amazing. Maybe a 40th anniversary. That's a good call. This is the year, is it not? So that's pretty cool. 40 years since that movie. It's time for at least people to either rewatch it or to for a reboot of some kind. 40th anniversary reboot. The Pentagon, Washington, D.C. Now, Chris, before we get into who's going to read what,
sure.
I know in the past you have often read Mystique, which you always do a great job of that. There is a little bit of back and forth. I did Val Cooper. Is that her name?
I believe it's Val. Yeah.
And there also is quite a bit of Henry Peter Gyrich
and Storm
at the beginning, which I'm happy to do.
Okay.
There is one scene with three characters where I've read them all in the past, which would be Storm, Professor X, and Rachel Summers. And I'm okay to do. It's one scene. I can do all three, or you can, whatever you want to do, man. You're born in 1984 as well. Look at that. What a
happy to see you. Happy to see you stretch your wings and do three.
All right, man. Shall I also do Gyrich?
Sure. Yeah,
all right. That's fine. Look at these people in that room. All right. This, gentlemen and ladies, is Rogue. She is a mutant, and as dangerous as she is powerful, she is our target. I don't like him already.
No.
Where do you get that photo of her, by the way? Like that specific? That's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Think where you had to be to get that photo. The one of her that he's presenting, right?
Yeah, the flying one, yeah.
It's pretty cool. Maybe that was like on the outside of the helicarrier.
Oh, maybe.
Like their external camera.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah. Hey, okay, I'm going to let that go. There's something weird happening on my screen, but it's okay. Some months ago, she was involved in a battle on these very premises with a team of so-called superheroes, also mutants, the X-Men. Now, just from a reading point of view, I want to go and finish reading within the panel. But I've read it ahead of time, and you got to actually read the right-hand side all the way down first.
You do.
And then come back.
And you have the descending panels on that side, right?
Yeah. You know what? Maybe I read it that. No.
So I read
still
it.
Think you go across. It's okay. It should make sense actually both ways.
It does, because I read it the other way. I read it anyway.
You went down the left side.
I went down the left side.
Yeah,
and over.
So it works. It all works. But here we go. There's a lot of Claremont in this. But here we go. Though originally affiliated with the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, Rogue has, of late, been operating with the X-Men. In all probability, therefore, She was not fighting them in earnest. Yeah, we should have gone down the other way. Not fighting them in earnest, but merely providing a diversion, allowing another teammate to penetrate our prime databank and erase all references to the X-Men and mutants in general from the entire Federal Computer Network. A further possibility is that the X-Men and Brotherhood have formed an alliance. They may have even been working secretly together from the outset. Finally, Rogue recently effected the escape of an as-yet unidentified operative from S.H.I.E.L.D. custody during this action. She's killed one of Colonel Fury's agents. Our assignment is to bring her to justice. These films, taken at the time, illustrate her various abilities, phenomenal strength, invulnerability, and the deadliest of all, the power to absorb the thoughts, memories, and physical talents of whomever she touches. In this case, the X-Men's leader, Storm. This transferal can be temporary or permanent, depending on the length of contact. This weapon, provided by the Armorer Forge, is designed to neutralize the superpowers of its targets. One good shot will essentially transform Rogue into a normal human being with skunk hair.
I gotta say, the image of the gun doesn't look. It looks very small.
In this case, it does, and it's interesting to see it drawn in different situations. Yeah, it's I guess a question of consistency, and this one would fit in a jacket pocket, which is cool. So Chuck also says, you're supposed to go down left, then right, correct? And I think everyone's agreeing with you. Yeah, it's not obvious at all, but I think that's why the bubbles on the left are on top of the panels. Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with reading it that way. Right now I performed it, I think, in the wrong order. And it mostly still makes sense, except he's kind of referring to her assault on the Pentagon in the photos, in the panels, in the bubbles on the right. Yeah. So you kind of have to see the ones on the left first.
And we get a bit of foreshadowing in the bottom left panel with Rogue engaging with Storm.
Totally.
And then we get, obviously you saw the cover art, so.
Right. It's part of the narrative, for sure.
Guy Rich.
This is a private briefing, Dr. Darkholm. You have no business here.
I'll be more than happy to leave. Once I have Forge's neutralizer.
Raven, calm down.
The blazes I will. That project's top secret, Gyrick. Shouldn't even know of its gun's existence. Much less possess the only functional prototype.
I have authorization, Doctor.
It's untested, you fool. We've no idea what effect it'll have.
Then this would seem an ideal opportunity to learn.
What? Val? This was your idea?
I'm sorry, Raven. I understand your feelings, but Rogue's a killer, and this weapon may be the only means of safely dealing with her. If it doesn't work, we're no worse off than before. But if it does, think of the ramifications. We'd no longer have to live in terror of supervillains, one zap, and their powers are gone. The threat removed.
I'll protest.
Waste of time. This policy decision came from the Oval Office. Like it or not, Raven, you'll just have to live with it. Oh, go back.
Oh, sorry.
Chuck noticed something.
Oh. Okay.
Oh. Chuck says, interesting, that bottom panel Rogue is wearing gloves.
Oh,
no.
Where she's meant to be draining her. Nice.
Totally. Good one. That happens.
You know what? We're going to bring it up with Chris when he's on the show.
Oh, right.
When we have him on, Mr. Claremont, we'll be like, what's going on in this panel? Of all the panels, of all the books.
That is very much in the spirit of the letters column in this issue, which I read today. It is all people just bitching about errors in the book.
Right.
Like taking the time to write a letter. The second you find yourself writing a letter to Marvel about something wrong in an X-Men comic, you've gone too far. Complain on a live stream, for sure.
What's that great Simpsons where they do, it's when Homer is voicing Poochie, and they go and he's at a Comic-Con with the voice of Itchy and Scratchy. and one of the people in the one of those like, it's not comic book guy, but it's like one of the crew stands up and goes, in episode whatever 730B season whatever, Itchy plays Scratchy's chest cavity like a xylophone. We see him hit two different ribs and it makes the exact same note. Are we to believe that?
Oh my god! Yes, exactly. That's amazing.
My gosh.
Yeah, Toy Ransu says he's probably just squeezing her wrist, or she's squeezing her wrist, like that's right. That's what Claremont would say. Just beating her into submission. Whatever works. It's all fine. I do think it's an oversight, but it really isn't. Again, the spirit of it is there. Exactly. All right, thank you. Let's continue on. Professor Xavier. Right,
you get all three? Good.
What's that?
All right. You get all three? You're good? All right.
Yeah, I'm fine. Professor Charles Xavier, School for Gifted Youngsters, Salem Center, New York. Professor, forgive my interruption, but Rogue is gone. Are you certain, Storm? When did this happen? Sometime last night. Her bed has not been slept in, and the closet is empty. She left no note. Excuse us a moment, Rachel. Sure, Professor, I understand. We'll continue our session upon my return. I can't sense Rogue's thoughts. That places her beyond the New York metropolitan area. Your concern and distress are obvious, Aurora. Why? These past weeks, ever since her encounter with Michael Rossi, Rogue has become increasingly tense and unstable, rebuffing all my attempts to help. Evidently, she managed to hide her condition from you, and since Rossi is away on a mission, I have been unable to get his explanation. Rogue turned to the X-Men because her powers are driving her insane. We thought she was getting better. But now, I'm desperately afraid she might suffer a relapse. Follow me to my lab. We'll use Cerebro's psi scanner to try to find her.
And when we do, you get a free Spider-Man comic book.
Nice.
Nice.
How do we feel about the no doors in the background?
No doors in the background.
About the doors or no background. Sorry. How do we feel about the doors or no background? I'm okay with no background. I think I wouldn't call it a rule, but a guideline that people like Romita often use, or Romita Jr. in this case, is like at least one panel gives an establishing shot and then a couple hints as you go. Like, you don't have to be excessive. I do like that kind of offset, like off-angle blue background is like, oh, you're passing by a window. Like the light from a window that's cast on a shadowed wall. Or I actually like the open panel with like just the doors and the is it called wainscoting? Like that trim halfway up the wall?
That's the trim halfway, yeah.
I like that kind of stuff. The only one I would actually make a stink about would be the choice to color the bookshelf to the right of Storm's mohawk in the second tier, to color it that like a light lavender next to her gray, because it gets lost a little bit. If you had to give it any like a green or anything else, it might just help create her in the shadow in the foreground.
Put in the letter. Add it to the letter.
Yeah. Oh, I also like this Chucky saying it's like a psychic space. Yeah, I'm a big fan of that too. That's cool.
Okay.
Rogue was one of the X-Men who rescued me from Selene, but I don't remember her. So what else is new? The more I see of this era, the less my memories mean anything. I hurled myself back in time to save my future Earth from destruction. I never dreamed I'd end up in the wrong past. I wonder how deep the differences run. Here's an entry for Cyclops, but it's in Alaska. What's he doing there? And then here you get another weird, like, what do you read next after the word there? You know, you just kind of want to continue with the word balloon.
Yeah.
but it should be separated.
It should be separate because of what she thinks.
Yeah, so Scott should go first.
Yeah. Hello? Hello, this is Scott Summers. Is anyone there?
I'm making a mistake. I shouldn't call. But to hear his voice again, to know he's alive and that some things can't change no matter what.
What's up, hun? No answer. Probably a crank. Or a wrong number.
Daddy.
Or a voice from the future.
So just for any of the youngins out there, the panels are separated here by a phone cord. This is the cord that connected the receiver to the base. And it was a coil, and it would stretch as you move throughout your house or throughout the room with the phone in hand. One quick story. I think this was my wife is a teacher, and she was talking to her students about using a rotary phone. And she let them try to use it.
Right.
And they spent so much time trying to get, like, they didn't know how to, they would like push the spaces where the holes were.
Of course.
They weren't sure how to, like, what enacts the numbering. Once they figured out it was rotary and like they turn it, so they spent all the time like going through, the 7 digits at the time, like in those old phone numbers, getting through all the 7 digits in the right order and not having any pauses or stops because that kills the number. And they do that. They get finally through all 7 correctly. Then they pick up the phone and say, hello.
Ahoy, hoy.
Not knowing, of course, you have to have the phone picked up first.
Of course.
Anyway, so just weird, kind of fun seeing this data technology being used as the means of communicating the gutter. It's a fun one.
So important X-Men continuity piece here. Is this our first indication that Rachel is Scott's daughter?
She literally called him daddy.
No, I know. But like, so she shows up in the last issue, right, with Celine, or 2 issues ago.
She actually shows up first in New Mutants, but we don't know that. Like, we don't see that here in X-Men.
But I don't believe in that earlier issue there's reference to her being the child of Scott and Jean. Am I right or wrong?
No. There's
so is this reference. The first, like, the end of that, like, that page, like, oh, wow, Scott. We know she's from the future or from a different timeline because she has mentioned it.
Right.
But now Scott's involved.
Right.
Okay, it's a big deal. Big deal.
Yes. It is a secret child plus all the X-Men know. It's so soapy. Oh, for sure. For sure. The Pentagon. Access to this sub-level of the sprawling complex is restricted by Raven Darkholm to a very select few. None work for the government. Their loyalty is to her. Oh, how interesting. They comprise the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, and Raven, in her guise as the shape-changer, Mystique, is their leader. These secret, hidden chambers are the group's operational headquarters.
Irene, I wasn't expecting you, but I'm glad you're here. It's been a brutal day.
Rogue is in grave danger.
I know. Val Cooper and Henry Gyrich wants to make an example of her, to prove the government can handle super criminals without the aid of heroes like the Avengers. Forge's neutralizer may give them the means to do it.
What are your intentions, Raven?
I'm really not sure. Rogue's powers are the cause of all her misery. Might she not be better off without them? She could live a normal life. She'd have her chance at happiness.
And, of course, be free to return home to you.
Is that so bad? I love her as my own daughter, Irene. Her place is with me. This is my opportunity to help in a way Xavier can't.
Have you the right to make such a decision without Rogue's knowledge or consent? She's a grown woman, Raven, well able to take responsibility for her own life. This choice must be hers.
You're the precog, Destiny. You can see the future. Tell me which course of action is best for Rogue.
I wish I could, But these past few days, my perceptions have become jumbled, as the very fabric of time itself has been rent asunder. I'm sorry, Raven. The only advice I can offer is that you follow the dictates of your heart. Rent asunder, my friend, rent asunder.
Mm-hmm.
A military transport outbound from Washington's Andrews Air Force Base. Ordinarily, Henry, this sort of mission would be handled by S.H.I.E.L.D., but they're the spearhead of our war with the dire wraiths. They simply haven't the resources to spare. Oh shit, I was both of these characters. Who do you want to be? You want to be Gyrick or Gyrich?
Sure.
He's a real dick, so you got to just, really
Lean into it. Lean into you doing it, right?
Just be yourself.
Just be myself. My people are the best the FBI and Secret Service have to offer, Dr. Cooper. We won't disappoint you.
How will you locate Rogue? With Forge's scanner?
No, its range is too limited. The module was what the Avengers used to track her when they fought a while ago. The girl's physiology is a synthesis of human and alien. Her hybrid metabolism generates a unique energy aura. This picks it up. We've already got a general fix on her position. The closer we come, the more will we find the contact, until we've got her nailed.
I want her alive, Henry.
We'll do our best, man, but no guarantees.
Guarantees. Dallas, Texas.
So am I Forge now?
You were Forged last time, too.
Yeah. She's done what? Our agreement from the beginning, Raven, was that my weapons were not to be used under any circumstances unless I released them. What can I say, Forge? Val changed the rules. I protested. I screamed bloody murder and was told, in effect, to mind my own business. Doesn't she realize it's untested? The impression I receive is that she doesn't much care. Her only concern is capturing Rogue. Raven, I have no idea whether the gun removes powers temporarily or permanently, or what might happen to the person in the process. It could cause incalculable damage. It might even kill. That's why I phoned Forge. No one in authority will listen to me. I'm hoping, praying, you have better luck. If I don't, Ray, the government can find itself another inventor. This is Forge. I want to speak to the president.
Whoa. Nice.
Also, the little cane he carries, very arcade-like.
Yeah.
That's giving me arcade vibes.
Yeah, and I think it plays later that it's like a cane because, I mean, we know the character has some prosthetics.
Right.
But it's not really played here yet. It looks like it's more fanciful. I'm a little bit distracted. Taking a look at the Leafs score.
Oh, yeah, no.
Do you see what it is, by the way?
Well, last time, is it still 7-1?
It is. It's over.
For the good guys, and by that we mean the Leafs.
Yeah, I'm, I like those guys. All right. Yeah, I like the president. That's cool. Go on, just get the direct line. Very cool. Caldecott County, on the banks of the Mississippi, the Ole Miss. This is farming country, where once cotton was king, and stately mansions lined the river, setting a standard for style and affluent, gracious living that was the envy of the world. It was a way of life people believed would last forever. But the king has long since been dethroned, and most of the great estates fallen into ruin. Of all that once was, only the river remains. That's deep. The king being dethroned being Cotton, as it says, right. Cotton was king. The king has been dethroned. Yeah. Huh. The Ole Miss. She'd forgotten how much she missed it.
Yahoo!
Beautiful.
Yeah. Way to go, Darwin.
Encore.
Start the boat. I want to get off.
And then the guy, did you see the last one? 555
Oh,
0187. Ask for Jody.
thank you, boys. Y'all really know how to do a girl's heart proud. Oh, my kind of picture perfect, deliciously, wickedly lazy afternoon. That sun feels so good. And there's just a hint of a breeze. You keep your body from getting too hot. I should have done this ages ago. I've been away for too long. It's so peacey hereabouts, but then it always was. No hassles, no fears. If only it'll last. Hello, Storm.
Okay, before we continue, I'm thinking, I mentioned before about the androgynous interpretation
Mm.
on the cover by Paul Smith.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, we've talked before about how that was the original vision for her from Michael Golden and Chris Claremont in Avengers Annual 10, was that she originally they had like Grace Jones in mind, like this strong physique, female, short hair, not like playing into the feminine side.
Mm-hmm.
And then like this kind of bikini version, even though I do think it's not a bikini, like I think there are straps that go down.
Mm-hmm.
It's still, let's just say, bikini for all intents and
Sure.
purposes.
Sure.
Yeah, definitely not like that same thing we were seeing on the cover. And I'm trying to and think of an actor who can like kind of play both the bathing suit model version and kind of an androgynous take. I'm like, oh, like Clara, is it Cara Delevingne? How did you pronounce her name?
Kara.
Is
Kara
it
Dell.
Cara? Like
Are
she
you
could be this version where it's like,
right?
she can play it like tough and androgynous when she wants, but also can be like a very feminine model,
Sure. Especially when she dances in Suicide Squad.
Oh, those awkward.
That's so strange. That's like one of the strangest scenes.
Just to talk about that for a moment.
Just to throw some Suicide Squad in here.
Just to throw some Suicide Squad in here. I don't know how much you know about Suicide Squad and the writer-director of it.
No, I don't know much.
But he doesn't direct the kind of movies like the way Suicide Squad ended up.
Okay.
You ever watch Fury, the tank World War II tank movie?
I haven't. I may know about it, but
okay, yeah. When you're in the mood for a World War II movie, it's definitely one to watch.
right.
John Barenthal's there,
Yeah.
Logan Lerman,
Yeah.
Shia LaBeouf, and Michael Pena.
Yeah.
I just named the entire cast. Anyway,
Entire cast.
well written, well directed movie. He also does another Michael Pena, Jake Gyllenhaal.
Oh, is that in the Iraq War?
No, it's
The Cops.
The Cops, yeah. Like
Right.
What's it called? Whatever the name of the movie is, like the end of your shift kind of thing.
Yeah, that's right.
Like anyway, yeah. Chuck says Fury's a terrific movie. It's very strong.
Okay, cool.
So he really understands like men in brutal situations,
right,
who have like those brotherhoods.
End of Watch, I think it's called.
End of Watch. He understands LA culture really, really well, and gang culture, cop culture. He writes them well. Like I think he hangs out with people to really get himself entrenched. And his vision for Suicide Squad is like the right movie, and the response from Batman v Superman spooked Warner Brothers to just take the movie out of his hands and film new footage without him, and then edit in like music video and movie trailer style things into it, like all of the character profiles, all of the scenes with the music. That's all a movie trailer team that went in and shot new stuff. And I wonder how much of the is it Cara or Clara? I always forget.
I think it's Cara or Cara.
Cara Delevingne, like all of her, I wonder how much of her weird stuff is after, as opposed to what he intended. But there's
Is it David Ayers? Is that the name?
Yes. It's there's a pretty good recap, like scene for scene, of sort of what he had intended to do, and it sounds like it's going to be a much stronger movie, more to our taste than what we eventually got. But anyway, Yeah, so she's my pick for Rogue in this
Gotcha.
issue. That's all I'm saying.
That's Hollywood for you, folks. That's Hollywood.
There you go.
Okay.
May I join you, Rogue?
It's a free country. Don't come too close. I ain't wearing much, and one touch is all it'd take to zap you.
This is a lovely spot.
I'd hide out here when I was a kid and the world got too tough. I'd watch the boats go by and imagine I was Mark Twain piling them up to Natchez and St. Louis, south to New Orleans. This tree and me been through a lot, good times and bad. Here's where I first learned about my power. Me and Cody Robbins were fooling around, necking really. Wasn't anything serious. We just wanted to see what all fuss was all about. I kissed him and he keeled over. I thought I killed him. Then I thought I was going crazy. I heard voices in my head, saw memories I knew weren't mine. They were Cody's. Tried to shut him out, but I couldn't. So I ran and ran and ran, and after a while the voices went away. I was myself again. I guess, in a way, I've been running ever since.
But those days are past. You need no longer fear who and what you are.
Come on, Aurora. I've been at Xavier School for months and nothing's changed. I still can't control my powers. Heck, I'm worse off than before because now I don't know anymore where my loyalties are. With y'all and Mystique.
We are your friends, Rogue. Is there nothing we can do?
Whoo, listen to yourself, girl. You hear what you're saying? Weren't you the X-Men who was ready to quit rather than let me join the team?
True. Carol Danvers was a friend. I could not forgive what you did to her.
Believe me, Aurora, I'd give anything for that never to have happened.
I know. I sense your honor and decency is stronger than you care to admit.
Give me a break, will you? Because of what I did, I've got to spend the rest of my life as two people, Danvers and me. I'll never be myself. I'll never have any thoughts or feelings that are purely my own. Decency's got nothing to do with how I feel. The cruelest sadist in creation couldn't have thought of a worse punishment. If there's any wonder I'm so full of anger and hate, got to admit, though, it sure fits the crime.
Why do you lash out so? Do you trust no one?
How can I? How can anyone trust me, for that matter, when the slightest physical contact might destroy him?
Rogue, has every exercise of your power been an act of violence? Has no one ever given himself of his own free will?
Don't be stupid. It's a kind of live and death. Nobody wants that, even for a moment. No, that ain't quite true. There was Wolverine. Last year in Tokyo, he saved my life. He let me absorb his healing powers.
Would you like to see the world through my eyes?
No! Remember what happened last time at the Pentagon? I nearly tore the place apart.
I was fighting you with every ounce of my being. Today, I give myself freely, without reservation.
Suppose something goes wrong. Suppose I do to you what I did to Carol Danvers and steal your powers, your memories, yourself, forever.
I am prepared to take the risk.
I'm afraid.
You think I am not?
Aurora! Goddess! I never imagined the world could be so beautiful.
I gotta stop, man. I didn't see that coming.
Right. The willing of Storm to give herself up.
Yeah, and just that question is like, have you ever used this not for violence?
Right.
You know what I mean? Is there another way that this plays out? And I think that was like a really great opportunity to maybe, I would say, add a layer to her power, add a qualifier. Like, for instance, when it's taken aggressively, this is the consequence. When it's given,
right, it's even more powerful, or
whatever it is. Like you can choose, you know,
right?
But I think it's a really, really neat flipping of her power in that, like, oh, it's always been violent, and now when it's not violent, what is it? You know? It's so like your strength is different when it's given the other way.
Yeah,
Chuck says Pug Storm is so punk.
she is.
Yeah, she's
great. Yeah, it gives it so much more space to breathe instead of just being anger and rage and punch him up and that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
Because if she can control it, or when it's given, it lends itself more possibilities for sure.
I think so.
For sure.
Yeah, I think it's cool. All right.
The sun and air and water, I see them as patterns of energy resonating within my own being. I feel aware of every living thing around me. My voice is changing, becoming a blend of mine and Aurora's. I still have my accent, but the tone is deeper, and my speech more formal, like hers. This is very weird, but very neat. A wind has sprung up because of my transformation. Can I calm it, return things to the way they were? There we go, gently. That does the trick. Aurora creates little rainstorms to water her plants. I wonder if seems easy enough. All I need to do is shape the appropriate natural forces. Careful, though, without letting things get out of hand. This is great. Ouch! A bolt of lightning that could hit me. The nerve! Playtime is over, girl. Better put your toys away. Presto. Whatever shall I do for an encore?
I think that's really cool to like have a little storm and then try and show it like tidying up.
Yeah.
You know, like that's fun.
And she gets zapped, right? It's kind of fun.
Yeah. It's very playful. I like it.
Totally. Comic book sale. I feel full of such excitement and joy. Nothing seems beyond me. And because Aurora did not resist the transfer, her memories have yet to cause me trouble. Perhaps they never will. I only want a little more. What harm is there in that? What am I doing? How could I even think such a thing? Aurora's my friend. Is this how I repay her trust? Oh!
Federal officers, Rogue. We have a warrant for your arrest.
What struck me? Nerves turned to acid fire. I want to curl up, die. An effort not to scream. Aurora's helpless. Whatever feds want with me, I cannot abandon her. I must drive them away. Bright lady, I can barely get airborne. Concentration shot to blazes, impossible to maintain. Level flight, never been so weak. What did they do to me?
I love this like weak flying. Like the cartooning there is
oh, right.
Like
it's like waffly, style. Right? Waffly, yeah.
Yeah, like by the way, that's how I would fly.
Oh, sure.
I wouldn't be able to hold a really cool pose.
No.
I'd be all dizzy.
Probably how most of us
stuck up.
Yeah, exactly. Trees, no time, no strength to climb above them. Ow, the branches hurt. I should be invulnerable. That energy blast must have affected my powers. The posse heading my way.
That pose of her like upside down in a tree.
It's like a yoga pose or something. I'm glad she's flexible enough for that. Yeah,
it's really good because she's like fits the panel.
Yeah, it's good point. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's funny. I heard a cry. Look out! There she goes.
How extreme is the power loss? My abilities seem the most affected. Aurora's psyche is gaining ascendancy. I find myself thinking in her terms, reacting as she would. Suppose the effect is permanent. Once her abilities revert, I could become a normal person, but if I lose her powers as well... She's still flying.
But erratically. The guns crippled her. Keep after her, Gyrich. Bring her down.
I need all my speed and agility. For Aurora's sake, I dare not afford another hit.
It's also like ridiculous, that it's such a boys' comic in a way. Like let's get the superhero in her underwear for an entire comic, right? Like it's such cheesy.
Well, I mean, and that's been one of the long-standing tropes that we've identified with, especially with Storm, right? Like Storm is getting Storm naked. Now, getting Storm naked hasn't been as much a thing since Storm went punk rock. But previous to that, and well, I guess maybe have different people to use now, like Rogue getting naked, or we've seen not naked, but bathing suits. But anyway.
Yeah.
Since I control her elemental abilities, I shall put them to good use. A small tornado should prove sufficient.
Hit the deck! Boom. Unfortunately, nearby, where in the blazes did this mess come from? 5 minutes ago, the sky was clear. Now we're in the middle of a full-fledged hurricane. Mayday, mayday! Tug Longshot Annie declaring an emergency. We've lost our main engine. We're taking water.
I was thinking that voice could have been the panicked Bill Paxton voice from Aliens, Perimeter, man! What are you talking about, man? We're getting our asses kicked down there.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, good call.
All right,
we should think about casting these supporting characters before we start. Chuck adds, if it was John Byrne doing the art, she'd be buck naked.
Oh.
Yeah, he'd probably just cover her with branches, like with a leaf in the foreground as he drives by.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lightning, wind, rain. This is the real storm. Am I the cause? Is this a reflection of my rage with the feds? My lord, no wonder Aurora has been going squirrely if this is what she has to live with. Her every emotion echoed by the weather around her. For all I care, the feds can drown, serve them right. That siren, the tug I saw earlier, she must be in trouble. Those guys aren't part of this. They're innocent bystanders. I can't allow them to come to any harm. Now, if that reaction wasn't pure Aurora, I don't know what is. Whatever will people think? I'm supposed to be as cruel and nasty as they come. Dearie me, land's sakes alive. This will ruin my reputation. Quit clowning, girl. Remember what you did before. See the gale as patterns of force. I can't. My mind's a blank. Aurora's special perceptions are gone. I'm trying to make the elements obey my will, but nothing's happening.
That bathing suit would come off in that storm. Just saying.
Just saying John Byrne would draw it that way for sure.
Oh, yeah. Well, he did.
Oh, yeah.
I love seeing all those comics, by the way, like the West Coast Avengers #1.
Sure.
Yeah. Everyone, like Marvel Legends talk for a second.
Yeah, do it.
People were so excited for the Hawkeye that came out in 2023, where he rides his
cycle?
Yeah, whatever it's called, like
hover cycle, space cycle.
Sure, it's cool. I love the figure too, but it isn't West Coast Avengers. This is. It's a dark blue, not a bright blue, and it's long sleeves, not short sleeves. But it works. It works. But if we're being like nitpicky about costumes, this is quintessential. Like #1. There you go.
Going in the letter.
My brother collected Power Pack, so we had these comics. I did not have Peter Parker's Spectacular Spider-Man though.
But notice the black suit because we've just come off Secret Wars.
Oh yeah, there you go.
And remind me, Power Pack are Reed and Susan's kids?
No.
Oh.
What's wrong with you, dum dum?
Please enlighten me on the Power Pack.
They are a completely new set of characters.
Okay.
Can you imagine what their last name might be? They're a family. They're 4 kids in the same family. What do you think their family name is?
Richards.
No, it's Powers.
Oh, really? It's like Jim Powers.
Donnie
Powers.
4 kids. They have a Green Lantern situation where they meet an alien who imbues them with the alien's powers divided into four different pieces. So each kid kind of has a fraction of the alien's power, and the kids get sucked into a war between alien races. And yes, you're absolutely right about the Richards kid. Franklin Richards eventually does join as a 5th member, wearing a cute little red suit version of their costume.
Wow.
But these 4 kids are not Richards kids. These are the Powers kids. Franklin does eventually join. So yeah, it was sort of like a chance to start something. Like, look at the comics that are here. Avengers have been around at this point for 20 years. Spidey's been around for 20 years. X-Men been around for 20 years. And then you get like a starting. So it's kind of fun to see
the new Warriors, you know.
It's like the new Warriors, exactly. But these 4 kids, the Smoky Kid is his name was the one with the rainbow stuff. Her name was
Rainbow.
So yeah, there was Master, Lightspeed, Energizer, and the eldest brother with the blonde hair. I've forgotten what his name was, but he had gravity powers.
Gravity powers. Okay.
Yeah, Master, Lightspeed, Energizer, and I don't remember. All right.
Dick older brother.
His name was Alex. I can tell you that much. Anyway, there you go.
All right, here's back here. Here we go.
And Franklin had like dream powers where he would like show up. He'd fall asleep somewhere, and his dream self would go, go do stuff.
And then we see him get wasted in Days of Future Past. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, there you go. Oh, his name was G, like as in G-Force, or like yeah. Cool. They must have made up their own names.
For confirming that.
Yeah, thank you. From the Cerebro Brain Trust, you know how the mutants can gather on the like a telepathic waiting room of sorts where they can confer. Or telepathic or our telepathic waiting conference room or whatever. Be calm, Rogue. I am here. Just say
oh, sorry. I didn't see it. Like it's kind of hard. I thought I went right to the next panel. Aurora?
Sure. There. The storm, wink, is dispersing.
How long you been okay?
My awareness began to return when you were last on the beach. I felt the lightning strike.
That means thoughts I had of the Tud's crew weren't hers at all, but my own. You got a crock. My rep really is shot.
I brought your tunic.
Thanks.
You look strangely happy.
Just come to terms with myself, conceding you may know what we are talking about. Perhaps I'm not as rotten as I'd like to think.
There is hope for everyone, child.
If you say so, what's our next move?
The tug is foundering. Shouldn't it be floundering?
Maybe.
We must tow it ashore.
You believe we're seeing Jody?
Women's lib, Max.
Oh, jeez.
Why did I get that line?
Why did you put that in there? The feds left me alone for so long, Storm. I wonder what made them suddenly come after me.
They believe you are responsible for the murder of a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent during your rescue of Michael Rossi.
That's crazy. I didn't kill anyone. There was a dead guy in Rossi's cell, but he'd been whacked by his partner, Aurora. I'm being framed. We better make tracks while we have the chance. They got a weapon that cancels out superpowers. And look, they're bringing in reinforcements.
I know of the neutralizer, Rogue. Mystique told me when she told me where to find you.
Company, Dr. Cooper.
That's Forge's private jet.
Splendid. Those beauties are heading right for us.
The current is too swift. The water too rough. If we abandon the vessel and it sinks, its crew may drown. Our presence, our powers, our presence, place them in danger, Rogue. We must save them if we can, regardless of the danger.
My mistake was using the minimal setting. I've recalibrated for full power. Gyrich, don't!
Rogue, look out! Pew, pew, pew.
Pew, pew. What does that say? R? Is it R? Okay.
I wonder if they could have rearranged this to make it a splash. It's such a big moment.
It is.
And like all of her limbs and eyes like shooting out power. Or, yeah.
I do not feel good about this.
No, a huge blast going into that boat.
Yeah.
Brutal. Rogue into the water.
Yeah. Oh no. There's Storm, but I can't see any sign of the other one. Rogue. She fell in mid-channel. The current must have swept her away. She got the full brunt of Storm's power discharge and the secondary explosion of the tug's fuel tanks. If she survives, it'll be a miracle. The boat crew are all okay, thank heaven. Take my hand, Forge. I can make it on my own, Gyrich. I don't want your help. I hope you're feeling proud, mister.
Take a drink.
Take a drink. You just shot the wrong woman. She was aiding and abetting a fugitive. They were trying to save lives. They could have escaped, but they didn't. Whatever Rogue did, she, and especially Storm, are supposedly innocent until proven guilty. That's the law, Gyrich. Only for Storm, the trial's superfluous thanks to you. She's already condemned. You stripped her of her powers. You destroyed her. And there's no way she can ever be made whole again. Outlaws they may be in the eyes of the government, but the X-Men always fought for humanity. Your stupidity has changed all that. You may single-handedly have turned them from our defenders into our deadliest enemies.
Behold, sisters, in our mystic scrying pool, the foremost threat to the dire wraiths yet posed by these upstart mammals. That mechanism is a primitive analog to the neutralizer used against us by our most dread foe, the Galadorian Silver Space Knight Rom. As yet, its power cannot harm us, but it is derived from similar principles. Given time, its creator will inevitably evolve it into a Terran version of that accursed Galadorian weapon. Every human... What the hell is this? Every human soldier will then have the means to banish us, as Rom does, to limbo. That we cannot allow, for it would mean our defeat and doom. Therefore, Forge must die.
Can you imagine if there was no context for this?
Right? Like, kind of like what we're reading this without reading the other things that are out at this time.
Yeah, like if we didn't know who Rom was or any of this stuff, like you're just reading it and all of a sudden everyone's on fire, and then there are these pink monsters and their sisters, and they're talking about, like, it is so weird.
It is so weird. And also because Rom, as a, I know little about Space Knight Rom. I've seen some of the comics, but as a brand, as a product, has not really survived to have much, to my awareness, nostalgia for it. So it's kind of like a character that if you weren't deep in, you'd be like, what the heck?
Okay, I agree with you. He doesn't have a huge modern pop culture.
To my understanding, I'm sure there's some...
Of course there's a fan base. And of course, it's a pocket within comics.
Right.
When I was a kid, he was no one's favorite character. The toy wasn't nearly as cool. Like, it was a licensed thing.
Mm-hmm.
So Marvel did not own the character. It was a licensed comic like G.I. Joe and Transformers, but it crossed over into the Marvel continuity, which has made it complicated, but they haven't been able to reprint the comics until now.
Oh, really?
So that is why, changing the view here for a moment, that is why, my friends, there is... it's stuck.
Is that new?
Like Excalibur from the stone. The stone. Does the stone have a name that Excalibur was in?
No,
like the Rock of...
Stone.
So they just put this out about a month ago.
Oh, wow.
Rom and the X-Men. And it is a beautiful Nick Bradshaw, heavily inspired Art Adams kind of style. A lot of people liked Rom, including Chuck Dodson. I think it was just one of those weird comic-y things, that if you were reading comics, there's something there to love. It was a weird, quirky thing. The issues that are collected here are Rom number 17, Rom number 18, Rom number 31, and guess what else? Rom number 32.
Is that the one we just talked about?
I do not know.
It doesn't say. I thought it'd be like, see, Rom 32.
Oh,
no,
is that what it says?
It does not say.
I will tell you that the first two issues, 17 and 18, it is Rom and the X-Men, and the X-Men
Right.
are the version where Storm is. She's Stormy. She's the original version of Storm. It's the team without Cyclops.
Gotcha.
That makes sense?
Yeah.
And then when we get to number 31, he battles the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. And it is the team that we're used to with short-haired Rogue.
Okay.
And, Sal Buscema, not John Buscema, but Sal Buscema does the art as he did for Rom.
Okay.
And Joe Sinnott on inks. And Joe Sinnott is like the classic Kirby inker on Fantastic Four. So it's like we've got some serious 60s, 70s veterans. And Nocenti's the editor, so we get some crossover.
There you are.
And it is really of its time. And I'm not reading it yet, but it looks like they're transporting, the Brotherhood and to prison or something, and then something bad happens and Rom shows up and has to stop the truck, and the bad guys get out and they gotta, fight Rom, and it's weird. It's weird seeing Rogue. I don't know what this has to do with the dire wraiths. Like I don't know how it all comes together, but I don't think it really matters all that much. It's kind of cool to see some Sal Buscema and Joe Sinnott. It looks like really classic Marvel stuff. But Rogue is like not Claremont's Rogue. She's villainous and like evil faced all the time, and she's pounding away on that dude. She's doing some. She's a dynamo. And Blob is barefoot and in purple. I mean, we could spend all day with me just talking about seeing this comic. It's a weird comic, and of course, in these crazy saturated colors, it is very strange to look at. But maybe you need to look at this.
Show me.
Dun, dun, that's the ending of issue 31.
What?
Whoa!
That's I don't even know what to make of that. Oh, you can give it a thumbs down. I gave you a thumbs down on the screen.
Did you do that?
No, I think you did it.
I didn't. You can see my hands. They're just like this, but it's.
I don't know. It identifies a thumbs down.
Yeah. Anyway, that's it is pretty weird.
Super weird.
But then they fight that thing. See, here's the cover.
Sure.
The next page. It's very exciting stuff. So some people might dig it, and that's totally okay. I don't have to yuck on your yum, so to speak. But I just when I saw this in my local comic store, knowing where we were at in our reading, and knowing how weird Rom is, and I just thought, I should grab this one and give it and peruse.
Sure.
So Toy Rancher says, if you're on an iOS, you can make emojis like that. Do thumbs up. We played with this. You and I were playing this the other day, weren't we?
Yeah.
And what did I do?
Double thumbs up?
Oh, that's right. That's right. Double thumbs down?
Double thumbs down is like, Storm. Yeah.
Yeah, it is pretty silly stuff.
Very silly.
I don't know if I'll use that again, but I think I will. Yeah. Anyway. Rom and the X-Men. Check it out if that interests you. The letters column is just really bonkers. People are really pedantic about things. One person writes in to complain about the use of the term octopus when clearly it was a squid that attacked. And it was way too big. It was like a mutant squid, so they wanted a no prize. They said,
is this the one where Scott and Madeline
the sexiest issue of all time.
So, yes, sexiest issue of all time.
They wanted the no prize. They said Scott calls it an octopus because he doesn't know, but it's actually a mutant thing. And it's, so they okay, no prize. Someone else wrote in to complain that the prefecture in Japan, they said the X-Men are in, is inaccurate. Okay, there you go. Yeah, it's like that the whole way through. It's someone else complains about something Professor Xavier says, that he made an error. One of them's just a typo, actually. One guy did insightfully, he said, I think you got the letterer's name wrong because it looks like on this page it's a different letterer. And they were right. I was like, okay, cool. It was just a lot of that. And it must be exhausting to have to deal with everyone doing that all the time.
It must
Just
be.
correcting everything you're writing. But anyway, there you go. That's issue 185.
I mean, I guess it may demonstrate that some people are looking at it with a fine-tooth comb. They're really getting into your work. But,
it means the world to a lot of people.
Connecting. Yeah, it's connecting for sure.
Yeah, I think, I think you're right about that. Chuck says, I wrote in a letter about how Wolverine used the wrong fork and dinner. Yeah, nice. I'm
nice.
sure you received some really good feedback about that too. That's hilarious.
Amazing.
Yeah, people are going to be people. I think that's part of the game. You and I, speaking of Wolverine, where is he? Why isn't he involved in these stories? Do you know what he's up to right now in continuity?
Is this the mission that he is on, or the limited series that he and Kitty Pryde are embarking on right now?
That's right, because Kitty decided to go home to Chicago a couple issues back. So that's where they are. There's a limited series called Kitty Pryde and Wolverine.
Yeah.
And you read it?
I read it.
6 issues? 5 issues?
6 issues.
6. Oh. It does not live up to the Wolverine limited series by any measure. It is set in Japan. Do you think we should devote a short amount of an episode to it, or like maybe to summarize the whole series?
Maybe we do like an overview, like one episode, because there's about, as we have talked, there's about 3-ish to my memory. There's some like big things that they show that either set the characters up moving forward, or like the overall story is fine for what it might be. But there are some points in it that set up the characters moving forward and speak more to like their motivations, or just more about who they are, their humanity, when there's not enough time to put that in an X-Men book because there's just not enough time. So you get to see some Wolverine and some Kitty Pryde reactions of things happening in the Marvel verse at the time, which I think actually are actually more kind of demonstrable about, or they're nice to see because they kind of flesh out more of like their stories, their backstories, why they feel certain ways.
Sure. Agreed. So it might be fun to condense
issues
into one episode of our show.
If possible, yeah.
So that would mean finding the visuals for those moments for us to discuss, which is not the end of the world.
No.
So I will find, I do not want to have to go through and format 6 issues of comics because we don't have them on the DVD-ROM. The way we have the X-Men comics already set up. I would have to literally go through and do screen caps and then format the whole thing and put it into a slideshow. But if we could narrow it down to a few key moments, I'm more than happy to track those down or to scan the pages that I have here. If I had to, I don't really want to put a comic book in the scanner though, because it'll break the spine. But
we've only got one more week before we go away for a couple of weeks. So
true. So since we're planning this live, while there is an audience, would you like to make it a live episode or put it in the can and then air it while we're away? I know you love to do them live. You prefer. It is, fun in some ways.
Yeah, that would be a fun way to do. Might be a good idea to put in the can, just to tide while we're away. That might be a good idea.
All right. We'll talk about that some more. But it looks like that'll be the plan. Next week will be issue 186. Do you know what issue that is?
It's the one you gave me. I have it upstairs. I get to read it. I get to read it not on DVD-ROM. Yeah.
That one.
And it's Barry Windsor Smith.
Next week, we're going to be doing X-Men 186, Life, Death, A Love Story. A special double-sized issue. Barry Windsor Smith on pencils and maybe even on inks. I'm not sure. I should open up and find out. The caliber of X-Men art is going to take a leap in a different direction.
I haven't opened it yet, so I'm excited.
And it might not be your taste, Chris. I'm curious to see what you think. but it is a very, very different visual take on
Mhm.
X-Men and or on comics in general, and he definitely lends some of his best work in his career to X-Men stuff,
That's
whether it be
cool.
the Weapon X miniseries within
Right, of course.
Marvel Comics Presents, or whether it's, I believe, what is it, X-Men 205 maybe, where it's Wolverine going to rescue one of the Power Pack kids against the Reavers.
The
You know,
Reavers have taken the power back.
sorry, I shouldn't have spoiled that. Like, it's coming in, 20
Oh
issues.
my goodness.
It's amazing.
All
So
right.
there are some really
right.
cool Barry Windsor Smith contributions to X-Men, where he could be considered one of the best X-Men artists ever, depending on your taste. So I'm looking forward to seeing someone new, John Romita Jr., Paul Smith, Dave Cockrum, John Byrne. Like, we've seen some Art Adams too from the classic stuff. We've seen a little bit of Mignola from the classic covers.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get someone else in there and see what the legendary Barry Windsor Smith does.
Mm-hmm.
Chuck says, the last X-Men issue I bought new. What? Did you quit after that?
You gotta tell us more about the story behind
Jason Jose says, super soapy. Yeah, there's lots of Claremont soap opera stuff going on for a long time now. Massimo, I've seen that one so many times, but I haven't read that book. Barry Windsor Smith's Weapon X story is one of the best Wolverine tales. We should talk about that one day. I have mixed feelings. I feel like nothing happens. Like, there isn't a story. It's sort of like, for me, when I read it, it's like a Frankenstein thing. It's just like the horror of having yourself kind of ripped away and rebuilt and ripped away and rebuilt. But there isn't a lot of story. But the artwork is, I mean, it feels like I don't know how, like a sensory piece. Like you're being exposed to different things, and he pushes the storytelling in really neat ways, but there's like almost no plot to it, which is totally fine. I much prefer, yeah, there you go. It's that fever dream kind of tale. Yeah, right. I hear you. I love the blending of like chapters of Wolverine's origins being told in different ways, that he doesn't know all of it, and I like it when it's that you have these pieces that don't necessarily cohesively go into one straight narrative. I think that's part of the fun of that character. So I love it, and there's a new version of it that came out maybe last year, 2 years ago, that is phenomenal, and the coloring is a little better than previous, but that's for another day. Next week, issue 186, Love Death. Can't wait. Chris, you are a person, and I'm glad you're here. You can find us on all the socials at group7comics.ca is our handle. This one is available for you everywhere. You just let us know, and it will end up in your hand like that. This one you'll only be able to get if you are in France at the Angoulême Festival.
Let us know. Let us know if you're going over.
Oh, absolutely.
Please.
Reach out. January 5th through 28th or something like that.
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
In France, this will be there for you, and we'd love to run into anyone who's an X-Men fan. That'd be awesome. Those two books there, as well as our other books. Anything else you want to throw up people before we call it?
Okay, so we've got you were Angoulême coming up. The only other thing that we've got confirmed currently show-wise is in June, the first weekend in June, we're going to be in the town of Deep River, Ontario for its Geek Fest, which is about an hour and a half north of Ottawa along the Ontario-Quebec border. If you are familiar with Petawawa, which is one of the largest military bases for the Canadian Army, in Canada, that's up that way. So actually, we're excited to kind of take it to a smaller town. We're going with some friends, and I think we're going to be like in an arena in June. But from what we've seen, it's something that people are really keen. These smaller communities are often incredibly supportive. They're incredibly vibrant. They love their comics. They love their pop culture. Yeah. So really, we're excited to take it to a different part of the province, a different part of Ontario, and so that's the only other thing we've got. So hey, if you're in Eastern Ontario, first week of June, first weekend, head on up to Deep River, Ontario. Come check us out.
That's something definitely fun to look forward to.
Yeah,
We're on the
road
waiting
trip.
list. Yeah, road trip. We're on the waiting list for a few big shows. I won't say where, but I will say when, because if it doesn't happen, Family Day weekend, I got a backup. I got invited to a new store out in Newmarket, Ontario, called Worlds Collide. Is that the name of it?
I don't know.
I feel bad, not having this off the top of my head here. But yeah, the owner of pardon me, Wayside Comics. I'm thinking of two different stores.
Wayside, okay.
The owner of Wayside reached out to me yesterday, invited me up for a Saturday hangout, in-store thing. Yeah. And if the day that I'm free is Family Day weekend, if we aren't at that other event.
Yeah.
But if I do go, I'll be with the dudes from Dead Romans.
Oh, Fred and Nick and Allison. And
I don't know if Allison's there, but Fred and Nick from Dead Romans will be at Wayside Feb 17th in Newmarket, Ontario. So if we're not where we talked about maybe being, I'll be there. So that'll be another.
And hey, if there are any historical fiction action comics fans out there who enjoy Roman Empire stuff, fall Roman Empire stuff, Dead Romans on Image Comics by a couple of our friends, fan-friggin-tastic. Go check it out if it's in that wheelhouse of yours. Yeah. Yeah,
no, I'm looking forward to that. Either way, I'm going to get to hang with somebody cool that weekend.
Absolutely.
Whether it's with you, somewhere awesome, or with those guys somewhere awesome. So, Feb 17th. But I'll update that as I know more information. And I'm sure other things will come together between now and June.
Absolutely.
There are lots of local events and ones that sort of suit us.
And of course,
things will come together.
And of course, we keep this show going because it's never ending.
Every week, bro. Every week. Looking forward to it. And then the new Marvel show Echo dropped today at 6 p.m. Eastern.
Dropped today, yeah.
So I'm probably going to go watch a little bit of that after I say hi to my kids.
Nice.
Or whoever's still up. I think my son's still up. He's just come home from hockey. So I'll go check in with him, talk Leafs, and maybe I'll watch an episode of Echo while I work on that idea for the cover for issue 9.
Right on. Issue 9. Yeah. Hey, just think about this. So it's January, and we just did issue 185. So by the end of 2024, realistically, we will be in the 230s.
That's insane.
Folks, I don't know what happens in the 230s in X-Men. I know you do. I don't. So there you go. There you go.
Yeah, we're gonna.
From now until then, we're gonna cover in 2024.
The brand will change dramatically as new people come on and new characters step forward. It'll enter in the time period I was reading actively as a kid, and it'll be like some of the pieces that set the stage for the TV show and the movies. Like more, it's gonna go off the rails even more in a good way.
Get ready.
Yeah, that's really exciting.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. More X-Men down the road. That sounds great.
Yeah.
Chris, good job. Everyone, thanks for hanging out tonight. You're all tons of fun. Thanks to everyone in the Cerebro Psylink chat. We appreciate all of your contributions, your thoughts and contributions to the show. So good on you for that. And we'll see you next time on Previously in X-Men.